I thought the new stone wall was just another HOA beautification project. Then I noticed they were building it directly around a huge electrical transformer. The HOA president insisted everything had already been approved. What happened next would leave 200 homes without power. Linda suddenly pointed at the transformer and demanded that it be removed. She said it was ruining the appearance of the new wall. The utility inspector immediately told her that transformer was not decoration. It would supply electricity to hundreds of homes. Daniel tried to explain why the transformer had to remain exactly where it was. Linda refused to listen and said the HOA had approved the wall design. I asked her whether the utility company had approved it too. She didn't have an answer. Despite Daniel's warning, the construction crew kept working. The wall was getting taller with every layer of stone. The transformer was slowly being boxed into a space that was becoming impossible to access. I knew something was seriously wrong. Daniel pulled out his measuring equipment and checked the clearance around the transformer. He measured the wall, the access door, and the service area. Then he wrote several numbers on his clipboard. His expression told me he didn't like what he was seeing. Daniel showed us the official utility diagram. The transformer needed clear access for maintenance and emergency repairs. The new wall was taking away that required working space. Linda still insisted the wall was more important. Linda told Daniel to simply move the transformer somewhere else. Daniel explained that relocating major electrical equipment wasn't a simple landscaping decision. It required engineering, permits, and utility approval. Linda answered with just 4 words: remove that transformer. I finally stepped in and asked Linda why she was willing to risk the neighborhood's power supply. She said the HOA had invested too much money into the wall to stop now. I reminded her that electricity wasn't something you could hide behind decorative stone. She didn't appreciate that answer. Daniel stepped away and called his utility supervisor. He reported the construction and explained exactly what the HOA was doing. Linda seemed irritated that someone had called for a second opinion. But Daniel knew this was no longer just an HOA argument. Daniel came back and told the crew to stop building around the transformer. Linda immediately objected and said she was in charge of the project. Daniel calmly told her the utility company had final authority over its equipment. That was the moment the entire project came to a halt. The workers stopped immediately. Kevin knew a utility inspector's order wasn't something he could ignore. Linda looked furious as the construction site suddenly became silent. But the real problem was only beginning. Daniel began documenting every problem with photographs and measurements. He checked the service doors, ventilation area, and surrounding clearance. The more he inspected, the more violations he discovered. Linda's wall project was much worse than it looked. Daniel showed me the official utility plan. The transformer wasn't just serving a few nearby houses. It was a critical distribution point for a much larger section of Silver Ridge. If it failed, the impact could spread quickly. The wall had been designed without properly considering the utility equipment. Every additional section made access more difficult. Daniel warned that emergency crews might not be able to reach the transformer quickly. That warning finally got everyone's attention. Kevin pulled out the original wall plans and showed Linda where the transformer was located. She insisted the plans had already been approved by the HOA board. Kevin reminded her that his crew only followed the plans they were given. Nobody had asked the utility company to approve the design. Linda called an emergency HOA meeting that afternoon. She wanted the board to support her decision to continue the wall project. But once the utility documents appeared, several board members became nervous. They started asking questions Linda didn't expect. The board learned that the transformer belonged to the utility company. The HOA couldn't simply order it removed because it looked inconvenient. Several members asked why the project had been designed this way. Linda had no convincing explanation. Daniel returned with an official notice from the utility company. The notice ordered the HOA to stop construction around the transformer. It also warned that unauthorized interference could create serious service problems. Linda finally realized the utility company was taking this seriously. Linda read the notice twice. Then she asked whether the utility company could really stop an HOA construction project. Daniel simply pointed to the ownership and service records. The answer was obvious. The utility company placed a temporary safety barrier around the transformer. The wall construction remained frozen. For the first time, the HOA couldn't simply push forward. But Linda still wasn't ready to surrender.